there has always been like this passion, this burden about injustice. And injustice is economic, injustice is social, injustice is gender-based, but principally, injustice is anyone not having the opportunity to have the life that they want to live.
So I see a Sierra Leone that has at its center us, the people. A Sierra Leone where this is not something that's enjoyed by a few people who can stop and breathe, but by Sierra Leoneans. I see a Sierra Leone where our youth are no longer dying on the streets from kush addiction, but are rising to take their place in society with pride and empowerment. I see a Sierra Leone where people do not see it as the norm for them to be hungry and for their whole life's ambition to be to leave their country.
What does it mean to lead a city at the edge of climate crisis and post-conflict recovery, and still dare to dream big? I am Aya Chebbi, and on this episode of Africa Link, in conversation with African thought leaders, I sit down with a trailblazer, the mayor of Freetown, Yvonne Aki-Sawyerr. Madam Mayor has become a global voice on urban justice and the power of local leadership. She's also running for flag bearer of her own political party, and if successful, going into the race of the next president of Sierra Leone. But who is she beyond politics? What fueled her faith, her fire, her fight for Freetown? Let's find out. Welcome on the show, Maya.
Thank you so much, Aya. So great to be here.
So, Maya, before public service and leadership, there was the student, the dreamer, the daughter, but you studied the wife, the mother,
the mother.
You studied actually finance, but what pulled you into public service?
Okay, so my first degree is economics. My master's was international relations, and I'm a chartered accountant. So yes, all in the area of finance. And what pulled me into public service? And I would say it's probably my heart. And to this day, I look back to age 10, class 6 at the Fairway College Primary School, when we were given an assignment to write an essay about a hero. And I thought hard and long about who my hero was going to be, and I chose Martin Luther King. And I had to do a research project. So to write about him, I had to research. And in reading about him, the injustices of that led to the civil rights movement, that kind of took me into the slave trade. And that was in the late 70s when Roots, serial on TV called Roots, which sort of examined the life of a family that had been enslaved from West African coast. I think from that age, there has always been like this passion, this burden about injustice. And injustice is economic, injustice is social, injustice is gender-based. But principally, injustice is anyone not having the opportunity to have the life that they want to live. I sometimes make reference to Will Smith's movie because I just love the title, In Pursuit of Happiness. And that's what we all are in. We all have the right to be happy. I really wouldn't say I was drawn into politics. I was drawn into action. It started off with the warriors campaigning against the trade in blood diamonds, setting up a not-for-profit which then worked with ex-child soldiers, worked with deprived communities in the north of the country, continued in later years to support young women, schoolgirls, to be more precise. Then Ebola struck in 2014, and that probably was the pivot, more so than anything else, because it meant leaving home. It meant saying goodbye to my husband, to my kids. I told them I was off for 3 months to come and contribute to the Ebola response. I found myself unable to return for a year because I wasn't able to have peace leaving the situation incomplete. So I arrived in Sierra Leone on the 13th of November 2014 in a very empty plane, and the outbreak was declared over on the 7th of November 2015, almost exactly a year later.
Yeah. And that was your door into public service.
That was my door into public service. And then after the outbreak was over, I had the privilege of being invited by His Excellency the President, former President Ellis Koroma, to serve as the delivery team lead for the President's delivery team. And that was a program to take us out of not just the outbreak in terms of the medical emergency, but the social and economic emergency that had come as a result of the medical emergency, because the economy had collapsed, understandably, given the context, and we needed to come back onto a growth trajectory. So that was different. We were no longer in a medical emergency. We were no longer in that bubble.
You're in governance now.
We're now in real governance. Real governance was still an eye-opener. And particularly for me, what struck me most was local governance, and for somebody who is really passionate about the environment, I saw challenges. I saw challenges with process. I saw challenges with articulation of vision, and there was evidence of challenge with sanitation. And somebody in the sector came up to me and said, "You have made more progress in sanitation in this last few months than we have made in years. You have to run for mayor." I laughed it off at the time. And then the next morning I thought to myself, actually, so as I drove to work that next day, I was looking around and going, well, I'd fix this, I'd fix this.
I can do this, I can do that.
This. By the time I got to the office, I was like pumped up. I'm going to run for mayor. I did run for mayor. And, really grateful to His Excellency, former President, and the All People's Congress Party for giving me the opportunity to serve in that capacity, because I needed that nomination in order to be able to contest.
I'm going to come back to governance, but your leadership, blends with power and purpose, because you also openly talk about your Christianity and your faith in your life. How did faith really play a role, especially in times of crisis? And, just spending a few days with you, I know you're very driven by that calling, and you ground yourself, in your faith. So tell us more about it.
Okay, well, like you rightly said, for me, this is all about service. How does it ground me? It means I have a long-term view. I said to someone yesterday, I don't see this world as the end. I see this as a place that we transition through in order to move to eternity. And because of that, I don't perhaps get as hung up about what one gets, because what one gets, one leaves.
Absolutely.
You come into the world with nothing, you leave the world with
Absolutely.
nothing. What you leave behind is legacy. What you leave behind is impact. What you leave behind is other lives transformed and other lives impacting others. If you don't do that, you haven't really done much. It's a source of courage. Real source of courage.
In times of crisis.
Real source of courage in times of crisis. Real source of comfort. Real source of knowing that, no matter what is thrown at me, my support network is bigger. The dynamics of politics could only be described as incredibly toxic and personal. That was definitely an experience that I could not have gone through without being grounded in my faith, without God's grace. God's grace has kept me smiling. Somebody said to me yesterday, I met him for the first time, and he said, I would see you being bashed here and there, and then the next day you'd be on TV smiling. You weren't running away, you weren't hiding, you just kept coming back out smiling. And I can, because greater is He that's in me than he that's in the world.
Faith is so grounding. I want to play a game with you.
Okay, cool.
So it's called build, ban, or break. I'll give you a policy or idea,
ban, or break.
and then you tell me, do we build it, do we ban it, or we break it down completely? Donor-driven urban development plans.
Build, ban, or break.
What do you do with that?
I'd like to take that in a nuanced way. I think first build and then break. Why? It's important for us to be economically independent, to make our own decisions. But because of historical factors, where we are today, sadly, there is a level of dependency. But it shouldn't be a level where the donor determines what happens to the recipient country. So therein comes the build, and we've done that. At Freetown City Council, I definitely have respectfully communicated, and I think effectively, with our partners, that their support is most effectively utilized when the need is articulated by the council, by the residents of Freetown, not even the council, by the residents of Freetown, and that what we deliver is designed to meet the true felt needs of residents, as opposed to ideas being presented as, oh, this is a project we want to fund, so let's do this. And the break bit is because, as a proud African, I know that we should not be in a place where we're dependent on donor funding. We've got the resources. What we fail to do is harness them. Converting hope to reality is, as you know, is my slogan. And in order for that to happen, we really need to move away from a mindset that says, I'm waiting for someone to do something for me, to a mindset that says, I know this is all mine. What I need to do is harness it.
And USAID's cut is a wake-up call as well to the continent.
I mean, yeah, it definitely is, but it's sad that that should even be thought about in that way, because we should not need others to take an action that makes us know what we need to do,
The second one, public-private waste management. Do we build, ban, or break?
Build. The private sector has an important role to play.
Okay. Mayors without term limits. Do we build, ban, or break?
So that's a really interesting one, because that model differs in different places. Interesting, the parliamentarians school don't have a limit.
Yes.
The parliamentarians don't have a limit. I think this is one to examine, because, if your residents are unhappy with you, they can always vote you out. So I guess that's the test, as opposed to it being a term limit. I mean, there was some conversation about non-partisan mayors. I don't agree with that. I think that the current framework that we have, which creates, I think it creates a more level playing field for the election of a mayor. You can run as an independent, so that option is there. But you can also run and represent a party, and I don't think that should be taken away. I think that's a very, very important part of the equation. The question of term limits, I think maybe it's one we examine. I'm not sure it works with any. I wouldn't ban it. I wouldn't break it. And the way I'd build on it is to think about it a bit more. Just think about it a bit more.
To examine it a bit more.
Think about it within the context of the members of parliament.
Brilliant. So, you've led a capital city through crises and pushbacks, and you decided to take it to the next level and run, for now, for the flag bearer of your own party, and eventually for the race of the presidency. What made you say, it's time, I'm going to go for the highest office?
But I'm going to come back to that, the action, where we started, what drives me, what makes me move, what makes me put myself forward to serve. And that is, again, a sense that we could do better than this. We must do better than this for our country. As mayor of the city, one responsibility we definitely have is sanitation. And we sweep the streets of the city every day. And I'm on WhatsApp groups with staff, and I can tell you, with no exaggeration, that almost every single day we're picking up the bodies of young people on our streets, victims of kush and other drug abuses. And this is almost on a daily basis. They have 7-8 bodies. We're not at war. We are not at war. When you have a situation when the youth of your nation are trapped by a synthetic drug, which, according to articles and researchers, appeared on the market in 2020. That was 5 years ago. I think we have a major problem. Where that's coupled with us being, and this is just a hard fact, might be painful, might be difficult for people to stomach, but when you have someone who's regarded as the most wanted drug lord in Europe here, and has been asked to be an extradition, has been requested and not granted, that is deeply concerning. When you have university students coming out of college and not being able to find jobs, when you have cost of living, we know there's a global crisis. I'm an economist. I know there's a global crisis. We know there's a global crisis that started around COVID, but we have neighbors. We have Liberia, we have Guinea. And our currency, for as long as I can remember, was stronger than the Guinean currency. For the first time in living memory, it's now weaker. So we're having failures in monetary policy. We're having failures in economic management. This is not a failure of individuals, it's a failure of system. It's a failure of leadership. A lack of prioritization of the people. So much seems to be about wealth creation for the few. You see the houses that are being built all over the hills. We see the destruction caused by the deforestation to make way for mega mansions at a time where our economy is so constrained that even as I sit here today, government has not yet paid its allocation to Freetown City Council for 2025, not even for 1 quarter. We're now in the 3rd quarter. And yet we see wealth on display. I mean, I think you were telling me about a nightclub where a table is $1,000 US. Are we serious? Who goes there? And how? Inequality is widening. And what is it that the opportunity here? Trading second-hand goods? That is not the future that I look for Sierra Leone. Don't underestimate what it will mean to this nation, to every woman, man, and boy and girl in this nation to have a female head of state. The first. So what that means for gender equity, I think, is it will also reduce anxiety. So, Aya, some of the challenge we have with gender equity is based on fear. Fear that if a woman is in control, if a woman is leading, that somehow it will be, it's a zero-sum game. That if a woman is leading, that means men are going to suffer. That is not the case. Because the people need to know that where we're going as a nation is not a place that the leader will go on their own. It's a place that we will go together with acknowledgement that we all have a role to play. We will be lifting our nation up together with a female leader.
100%. So, Madam Mayor, I know you like painting, you like reading, you have your own space here. We would love to have a sneak peek into your personal space.
Okay.
Can we do that?
Sure, let's go to the balcony.
Let's go.
So good to have you around.
Oh, wow. You have an amazing view, by the way.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, we were talking just now about you running for the highest office, and I wanted to ask if or when you will win.
When?
What would be something you do differently since day one?
I think for me, this is about people. It's about improving the standard of living of our people. So it's what I will prioritize from day one is the economic growth required to have everyone earn a living wage. And uppermost in my mind is ensuring that people can live a decent and dignified life.
I would have to ask, if you lose, what legacy you would leave?
So, as you know, I have no intention of losing.
Mayor doesn't like the question.
No.
Okay.
But as you have asked, I shall answer gracefully. The legacy I will leave is that I would show what it means to fight with courage, with resilience, with determination. And I think that in itself will be an inspiration. I will never give up on Sierra Leone. But as I said, I intend to win. So the question is rhetorical.
We heard you. We got that. So, Mayor, we are in Freetown. This is your city, right? What is some of the memories you have here?
Okay, so I'm going to be absolutely technical and tell you that what you're looking at is outside of my city. My city is more to the right. This cove you see is actually now part of Godrich, because we're moving to the west. But my memories are that ocean. I grew up in the ocean. My dad loved swimming, and so we all grew up loving the outdoors, not just swimming. I grew up climbing trees, which is where a lot of my passion comes from, for trees. My mother would make mango jam, plum jam.
Did you have accidents?
And who doesn't? Climbing trees, lots of them. But I had an uncle who lived in Juba, and we used to skateboard down Juba Hill, this road that I now come up, every day. I used to skateboard. So cycling, climbing, swimming, school, friends, family.
Beautiful.
I was blessed. And freedom. The small things, being in the outdoors. Those are my greatest memories of growing up here.
Beautiful. I love Freetown. The ocean is
It's lovable.
It is lovable. It's a city that when you leave, your heart aches because it's so beautiful. What does a feminist leadership look like in a city where women do not have much of the access to opportunities, to infrastructure to get to their work? When we say feminist city, what does it look like?
A feminist city would be addressing the issues you've just raised. We have a policy to ensure that whenever we're having a project intervention, that a majority, at least 50% of the beneficiaries are female. When it comes to our staffing, you've seen in the office, we really give priority to ensuring that competent females are given those opportunities. It's about making sure that we have policies, as we do now. How is it designed to make it more accessible for market women coming to work early in the morning with their goods?
Exactly.
To women with disability, in fact, persons with disability generally. Going beyond that, a feminist city is one where in the market we're able to create biogas solutions for access to energy in markets. So a feminist city just means that you are looking at urban development through the eyes of a woman who has to carry, who has to push along, who has a child in arms or in their hand, seeing it through those lenses.
We're hearing a generator on the background because electricity and energy is a big challenge.
It is a big challenge. So it's it's 26, 27, and sadly we have been out of power for the last couple of hours. So we are, doing this interview with the generator humming gently,
and the sun will keep setting as we go in the conversation. So
yes.
I know you've always been also criticized for doing more internationally than locally, even though you've been a mayor for 7 years. I want us to outline some of the achievements you've done as mayor for the last 7 years.
This is a city where I came and the revenue was at an incredibly low level. One of the first things I was able to accomplish was introducing a digital property rate system, which reduced the opportunities for leakage, but more importantly was more equitable, because only 37,000 properties were on our books when I came in as mayor. And when I say books, I mean literally books written in my hand. We now have 129 plus properties, which means everybody is being captured and everybody has to pay their way in the city. But the digitization is also a game changer, because it means that every property now is on our records with a photograph of that property. This is something that's won awards, because we made it equitable, we made it inclusive, and we made it digital. Another major intervention is one that affects everyone's health, and that is wastewater treatment. When I came into the city, literally the vacuum trucks that empty your cesspit were emptying onto the ground at the King Tom dump site. We established and now operate the city, and in fact the country's first ever wastewater treatment plant. And that wastewater treatment plant means what was going on the ground is now going into a plant, being processed and being converted into briquettes for clean cooking, because 82% of our cooking fuel in the city is currently wood or wood-based. That has a direct impact on our tree cover, which is so important for water catchment. And you come now to trees. I told you I climb trees. I love trees. We started Freetown, the Tree Town, launched on the 3rd of January 2020 without a penny. We have now planted 1.2 million trees, which are being tracked and monitored on a digital platform with access from the general public to see what's being done. But most importantly, last time I looked, I think we're closer to 5,000 jobs for young people through that process. We are about to be registered. We're going through our carbon credit registration. You know, we will succeed by God's grace, and if we do, we'll be the first city ever to be registered on the carbon market. And with sanitation, that's been another major area of achievement, with us introducing a new bill, a new sanitation bylaw. With this new law, we've come into a public-private partnership with private service providers. We've been able to allocate areas of the city to them. And we are currently running a campaign called Dirty Must Go, which in English means, as you would think, the garbage has to go.
Yes, the dirt must go.
One was able to raise the $3.5 million required to kickstart the first ever postgraduate gynecology training school because of our concern for maternal mortality. And water, which is a key requirement for the city. We've installed over 150 water points around the city. I think I can sum it up by saying I believe in transparency and accountability. So we make a plan made with the city. In 2018, we engaged 15,000 residents. In my second term in 2023, we engaged 4,800 residents. We listen to them, we understand their issues, and then every year we report against that plan.
A lot of the mayor's work is visible in terms of sustainability and, urbanization, but I think the gender aspect, now that you mention a lot of the initiatives done for women, it's the most invisible part of the work. So I really want to move into your personal, family, and creativity, actually, art. So I want to start with this picture. Tell us about this.
This was 2014, December. It was the year that I came to fight Ebola. So I came on the 13th of November, and at Christmas, I went home to spend Christmas with the family. Then Jordan was 13 and Mahini was 17.
So you have a son and a daughter.
A son and a daughter. I came Christmas Day. I didn't stay till New Year. I was so concerned about what was going on in Sierra Leone that I left before New Year's Eve. But that was them, and
this is 11 years ago.
This is 11 years ago. I said goodbye. I'm coming back in 3 months, and
you spent
I'm
the whole
still
year.
Here.
I
stayed here for the whole year till the outbreak. I went back, stayed till the outbreak was over, and as you know, I never really moved back home because one thing led to another.
Yeah.
It's a growth that's happened without me being there.
Yeah.
I don't get to see them very often, but I love them so much, and they've been so incredibly supportive in allowing me to serve in the way that I'm doing, and not be mummy in the way that they deserve to have had me. And I'm proud of them.
Yeah.
And I miss them.
Let's see this photo.
So
wow, this is much bigger.
So this is the wider family. So I'm one of 4 girls. So these are my parents. And this was their 60th wedding anniversary. This is my sister Trudy, engineer Trudy, my sister Marion, doctor, and my sister Barbara, biochemist. And when I talk about having parents who taught their girls that there's nothing they can't do. So my brother-in-law, of course my husband is there, my daughter, my son, my nieces and nephews. And this support system, not just them, but my husband's family as well, my mother-in-law, my sisters-in-law, my friends. My best friend's not in this picture, but it's really taken all of them, my prayer partners, my team at work.
It takes a village.
It takes a village to keep me standing. Not to raise a child, but to keep me standing. And I'm blessed. I'm so blessed by my family.
Very beautiful. I also want to show that you actually do paint.
Yeah. So this is one of my pieces, 2006. So before becoming mayor, I used to paint a lot. Like this was my downtime. So if you in my home, the home that my husband lives in, not this home, most of our walls have my art on them. This is the expression of Yvonne. When I have downtime, and sadly I haven't really had the space to express myself creatively in quite a while now.
It's colorful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're really projecting a lot of hope to reality here.
Absolutely.
So when people see a politician, they need to know this person is multidimensional. It's not a box that we have to put them in. It's all of it. It's all the versions of you. I want you to conclude this by telling us your prediction for Africa in 2050. I would say your prediction for Sierra Leone, and then you can tell us for Africa.
So I'm confident that by God's grace, that I will succeed with the APC flag bearer leadership and consequently succeed in the presidency. So I see a Sierra Leone that has at its center us, the people. A Sierra Leone where this is not something that's enjoyed by a few people who can stop and breathe, but by Sierra Leoneans. Hills that are no longer being desecrated and decimated and leading to mudslides and landslides. I see a Sierra Leone where our youth are no longer dying on the streets from kush addiction, but are rising to take their place in society with pride and empowerment. I see a Sierra Leone where women know that they have no barriers because they're led by a woman who leads all. I see a Sierra Leone where people do not see it as the norm for them to be hungry and for their whole life's ambition to be to leave their country, but to want to be here, because here is not just home, but here is a haven, here is safety, and here is their future. That's what I see in 2050.
Amen.
Amen. By God's grace.
Thank you so much for really welcoming us into your home, knowing that this is not even your own.
Nope, it's a rented property. I haven't built a house contrary to all the, some of the nonsense that's talked about.
Yeah.
But we have our priorities right.
Yes.
And that's what's going to make this journey a successful one, not for me, but for our nation.
Thank you so much, Maya.
Thank you, Aya.
That was Mayor Yvonne Aki-Sawyerr, who reminds us that power is about transformation. It's about hope to reality. If this conversation moved you, quote it, post it, and pass it on to someone building change in their own city. I am Aya Chebbi, and this is Africa Link. Until next time, stay bold, stay African, and stay building the future.